Nation.
Let's go.
Wow.
What a 24 hours, Jake.
I feel like we've learned more about this team, but also not at the same time, if that makes sense.
I feel like we've learned a lot.
We have, but it's also like not surprising at the same time.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a crazy 24 hours. Thanks to everyone who watched the video of our exclusive interview with Coach Prime. If you haven't watched it yet,
It's a gem.
you're certainly one of the few. But we could definitely get those numbers up a little bit.
Yeah.
So go and check out after the show our exclusive with Coach Prime, 20-minute sit down with the man himself, who gave us some incredible answers. Came in, told us he's a little tired.
Yep.
And said, "You guys got to give me the energy." And I think we did a decent job of getting him cooking a little bit.
I think so too. We are in the Toyota Lounge, driven by your Front Range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Also, shout out Legal Pete's, our presenting sponsor. Yeah, man. We had to warm him up a little bit, but we got there. I think we asked the right questions, and I think that's also kind of what put him in the mood, too, to really give us prime.
Oh, yeah, totally. And I guess one thing I want to say is the best possible compliment that so many of you said, which means the absolute world to us, is everyone saying, man, you guys ask the questions that the fans want to hear the answers to. And that's just like the coolest thing you can say, because that's what it's all about here for us, honestly. It's about being a voice of the people, being a water cooler for the people, being the ones who know what people are most interested in. And so we take a lot of pride in that. And so for you guys to say, like, man, you guys asked everything that I would want to hear, means the world. Little bit of background, how it went down. You guys obviously heard Coach Prime promote Restore, who did his hair transplant. And so Restore reached out to me, and you might have seen from Jake's tweets, Coach Prime and I up on the stage together, which what a experience that was to share a stage with Coach Prime. But they reached out to me and said, hey, we heard you have a great relationship with Coach Prime. We would love if you would moderate this event for us with Coach Prime and Dr. James Harris. And you guys will see some more content from that coming out from RG in a little bit. But they're like, and if you do it, Coach Prime will give you a 10 to 15 minute interview. When you come down. Obviously, we're like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I still haven't found out who recommended me for that.
Yeah.
Still trying to figure out who put in the good word for us. But I also then told them, cool, if I do that, can I bring my co-host and we can interview him together? And they're like, yeah, of course. Had to bring my guy.
Yeah.
And so, that's how it all got set up. And it was incredible at the Brown Palace in downtown Denver, which is a historic building, been around since the 1890s. The Beatles have been there. Multiple presidents have been there. And now Coach Prime.
Oh, man. Yeah, it was just amazing, man. It was a little weird because not very many people, but, man, it was just cool to be able to get Coach in his most authentic self. He's always authentic, but it's like, have him answer those questions in the fashion he did, just straight to the chase, not trying to, set anything up, just direct, boom, 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 boom. Here's your answers.
Totally. And, some people were saying, man, you guys ask like the hard hitters or anything like that. I didn't view it that way.
Right.
But someone said, like, are you afraid to ask those types of questions to Coach Prime, just knowing like he might turn it back on you or whatever? And it's just like, no, it's actually quite the opposite. I know that he wants to answer those questions because he can set the record straight and kind of lay out exactly what the deal is. And like we were talking about this on the way to Boulder this morning, it's like, I think one of the first of all, I think it's just in his blood for Coach Prime to just be real.
Right.
But I also think one of the reasons why he's not afraid to just say it the way it is because no matter what he says, people are going to twist it and turn it and make it into what they want him to have said anyway. So he's just like, I wonder if he's just like, why would I not just say it like it is?
Yeah.
Because no matter what, the people that love it are going to love it. The people that hate it are going to hate it. I just get to go to sleep at night knowing I kept it real.
Right.
But no, I think it's the opposite. I think with like, I honestly don't really have a relationship with him. Like, if we were sitting down with Sean Payton, I might be a little more worried of like asking him certain questions or how he's going to react. With Coach Prime, especially with the relationship that we've been lucky to establish with him, thanks to Uncle Neely and all that, I just know that he knows what our intentions are.
Yes.
And so he's not going to like snap or anything like that because he knows, we're asking this, like you guys said, because this is what the people want to hear. They want this stuff to get cleared up.
Exactly. So yeah, having that mutual respect with Coach was really cool. And then like even when, I went to ask him about Cormani, and he just gives a whole answer on the portal before I could even get to Cormani. And he basically lays out their entire transfer plans for us right there.
Yeah, we should probably like transcribe that out and just post it or even make a graphic out of it. But yeah, he went through the whole team, each position group, what they want to do in the transfer portal.
I guess we'll start off with Cormani. I think that was the big burning question from there were a few. I mean, the Shalimai one was big also, but on Cormani entering the transfer portal, he said, "I pray to God that he goes to a program that challenges him as well as holds him accountable and develops him as a young man." Unfortunately, we weren't the program that could accomplish that.
Yep.
Straight to the point, man. I mean, he also mentioned Cormani's going to have to work wherever he goes next. So there you go. That's what we've been trying to tell you.
Yeah, and I don't want this to be perceived as me trying to say anything bad about Cormani, but just so you guys know, and I think a little peek behind the curtain of what Coach Prime was really saying there is they really tried with Cormani.
Yes.
I mean, they tried to press every different button that they could to try and get Cormani to click in, to get the drawer on the right tracks. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
And it was interesting just talking to the people that we talked to throughout the season, hearing all of the different things. Okay, well, Coach Prime set up a one-on-one meeting with Cormani. He didn't come. They're going this. They're trying to force him to earn playing time. Okay, now they're going to see if playing him a little bit will give him a taste and make it. It's like they just moved everything. They turned over every rock. They pressed every button. And I think that's what Coach Prime is saying there. Hey, look, we weren't the ones to be able to get Cormani to click, to get Cormani to realize what he has in front of him and what is at stake if he doesn't get it together. I hope that for whatever reason, if it's USF or USC or whoever, they're the ones that are able to get through to him, because I believe Coach, when he says he just wants the best for him, he prays for these guys.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it doesn't take long to look at how Coach Prime interacts with his players, his team, and realize that that's what he's really about. Like, yeah, we're here to win games. We're here to play football, a game. But at the end of the day, he said it before, too. It's about developing young men, and it's about, showing them that they can improve their situation, improve their family's situation through this game. Like, this is a great game. It can do a lot for you if you treat it well. And he sees that in Cormani. It's just Cormani's got to see that for himself.
Yeah, totally. And like I said, we're pulling for him, but it is, I feel like we're at a different stage now where it's no long, like there's no more time for patience. And obviously that's always going to be a part of it. But like with Cormani, it's just like, we can't do this again.
Yeah.
It's go time.
Yeah.
And I don't know the situation with Alton, but it maybe seems like there's just a kind of a mutual parting of ways there of just like, hey, look, it's not looking like you're number one right now, but you probably have a chance to go be number one somewhere else.
Right.
But so it just feels like we're entering a new phase here where it's just like, hey, if you're in to be, a part of this team and play your role, cool. If not, go ahead.
Next big one, the one that you asked about, the reports that came out from Coach Prime's time on $1 million worth of game, and how it got twisted into, Coach Prime was saying, there's teams I will not let my sons go to, Sons and Travis go to.
Yep.
And it got twisted into Coach Prime is only going to let a handful of teams draft these three guys.
Yeah, so I could have sworn there was a point where they started talking about teams. But I went back and watched it. There's no part at all where they mention a team other than one of the guys mentioning the Eagles because they're an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
And saying, like, that'd be a great fit for Shilo. And Coach Prime just agrees. But there's no time in that interview where he's, like, listing off teams. Meanwhile, like I said the other day, you get one of these aggregator accounts that has far too many followers.
Yeah.
Putting out a list. And the way that spiraled is a sad, sad day for quote-unquote journalism.
Yes.
Because an account with no reputability tweets out something with no proof, and they actually pulled it from a New York Post article, which also didn't didn't have proof. It just listed it and said he said that. Mm-hmm. And then every other aggregator account took it, and then every blogger took it and ran with it. And it was like, nobody has double-checked the source on this.
Yes.
And I was talking to Zach Stevens, our Broncos reporter, because he, wanted to talk about that on the Broncos show. He's like, yeah, I went and watched the podcast to listen for the time that he said that because Broncos fans are really interested in this. And, there's a lot of Tank for Two fans out there.
Yeah.
And I was going to have to be the one to break the news to him that the Broncos weren't on the list. So I went and listened to make sure. He's like, I didn't hear anything. And I'm like, yeah, you did about 10 times more work than anyone else who ran with that story. Right. So it's a sad thing that happened, but I was glad that we got the chance to give Coach Prime the opportunity to shut that down. And of course I had to sneak in there. What about the Broncos? And he did sign off on the Broncos.
Yep. He said I would never come out and say where I don't want them to go, and I would never highlight where I would want them to go. But yeah, massive shout out to Coach Prime and Sean Payton because he said he gave a resounding yes.
Yeah. And I also, it's funny when you try to soften something and Coach Prime's like, I don't want the soft, because I was like, so what you're saying is there's maybe a list of a few teams that you wouldn't want them to go to rather than a list of a few teams that you would approve them. He's like, there's no mabies.
Yeah.
There's no maybes. There are a few teams that I would not want them to go to. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. And I've said that before on the show. That to me, why if let's just go to a real life example again. If you knew someone who owned a company and you knew they were a real piece of shit and your kid was getting recruited to work for that company, you would of course jump in and say, you don't want to work for that guy.
Yes.
He absolutely sucks. Mm-hmm. The NFL is a little bit different, of course, because of the draft. There's nothing like that in real life where you're getting drafted onto a company.
Yeah.
But you would do the same thing. You would try to stop your kid from putting themselves in a bad situation. Why would Coach Prime not? Because he has all the inside info on who these owners are and the ones that sucks. And it seems like every year we're finding out about what a terrible person one of these owners are. And he didn't even mention that. He just mentioned the guys who really want to win.
Yep.
If they were in the MLB draft, I can assure you he wouldn't be sending them to the Rockies.
Right.
Because they're not about winning.
Yes.
They've never shown that winning is a priority for them as an organization. Why would you want that? Why would you let your son, who's going to be the number one pick in the draft potentially, go play for an organization that has done nothing but ruin the careers of quarterbacks?
Right. Yeah.
And that's why Archie Manning stepped in and said, ain't no chance in hell my son is playing for the San Diego Chargers.
Yep.
No way.
And he was damn right.
And he was right. And now his son's got 2 rings and is going to be a Hall of Famer and, carried on the Manning legacy.
Yeah. I mean, saved his career, honestly. Manning could have been a 4-year flameout in San Diego if he gets drafted there.
Or, maybe best case, Phillip Rivers, where it's like, yeah, you put up the numbers but never won anything.
Exactly.
So
you asked him about this too, his future. And Shelomai entering the transfer portal, which...
Okay, usually I know how Coach Prime is going to answer something. In fact, when we were talking about what we wanted to, interview Coach Prime, just to take you guys behind the curtain, Jake and I had a meeting where we're just like, okay, what are the most important questions that we want to ask Coach Prime? We're going back and forth, and what I like to do is almost do like a mock thing. So when Jake says a question, I'm like, okay, well, here's what he's going to say.
Right.
So maybe if we phrase it this way, you'll get a more elaborate answer. So I feel like I have a good idea. I had no idea that Coach Prime was going to come out and say, and he did get his words taken a little out of context. He didn't say it's stupid that Shelomai entered the portal.
Yes.
Said it's stupid that she entered the portal without a plan.
Yes.
Which was a funny, say the quiet part out loud moment.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
just like, and it goes to something we'll talk about later with Shedeur and Shilo recruiting, but it's like, Shelomai, like, you've got a ton of followers on Instagram too. You could people will know who your
Right.
name is if you reach out to them. You could have reached out to any player at any program in the country and said, hey, I'm kind of interested in transferring here. What's the deal here? Do you think you could get me in contact with someone or whatever? Find out if you guys have a spot and you're looking for a guard. So that was a funny peek into behind the scenes there. Coach Prime clearly not happy with that and said, like, I think at the end he kind of alluded to, like, she might come back. That's kind of what I'm just guessing between lines, because he said, like, we're gonna get it right, we're gonna make this right, or something along those lines.
Well, and not to go in on Shellamai here, but it sounds like she doesn't really have a plan in the portal. She just kind of entered to be recruited at this point, which, it works out for a lot of people. A lot of high-profile players went to the portal. So we'll see if it works out for her. I wouldn't be surprised if she returns, but so wouldn't be surprised if this is what she wants and she wants to go somewhere else too.
Yeah, and we said it from the beginning. And what I was kind of teeing her up for, which I thought he was going to say, is she just wants to play.
Yeah.
And who could blame her if that's the way that she wants to go?
But he said he loves Boulder. I mean, he said that he wants his face on the flat irons. He is 100% in love with Colorado and Boulder, with what he has. You hear him talk about the facilities all the time. You see how he always hugs Rick George, my AD, all the time. Like how he's been received. And then at a greater point to what you ended the entire interview with, like, I think he's felt a lot of that love reciprocated back, and he's seen a lot of change in Boulder and the impact that he's had in such a short time. I don't think he's interested in leaving at all anytime soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the comment about wanting his face engraved on the flat irons was really telling. And anyone who, like I said, anyone's going to interpret things the way they want to hear it. A hater would just say, of course he's going to say that. To me, even going there in your mind is telling to me.
Yes.
Because any coach can give the coach speak of, I want to be here for the rest of my career. This is a dream job.
Yeah.
Whatever. But, like, the fact that he's had that thought, even if he thought of it in, like, a funny way, is telling to me that, like, I want to leave a real legacy here.
He talks about bringing a baseball program here. He's talked about just rebuilding this program from the ground up. He's not talking about, we'll see what's next after this, or we'll see what happens when my sons leave and Travis leaves, and, we'll think about things there. We'll get there when we get there. No, he's, like, stating out, like, clear-cut, concrete, big-picture plans.
Absolutely. And, in my opinion, you don't get in on Julian Lewis and recruit him as hard as you are.
Absolutely.
If you don't have plans to be there for his career. Like, not even 1 year. Like, if you are going at that hard after Julian Lewis, you're planning on being there for his career. You're not going to go for his freshman year and then bail. Like, how it works with freshman quarterbacks. So I said this to someone on Twitter last night. I have zero expectations for how long Coach Prime is going to be here. But I also believe him when he says these things. And to just tie a bow on, like, what you said about the end of the interview, there's a world that I envision where there are legit soul food restaurants in Boulder, and we've got great barbecue, and the student body is far more African American, and those people are coming in and falling in love with Boulder the way Coach Prime has, and deciding to settle down and make a home here, and legitimately changing the demographic of a city that has always been extremely white. And, like, if and when that happens, I'll be the first one putting the measure on the ballot to engrave Coach Prime's face into one of the flat irons.
Definitely. I mean, he said he doesn't inherit legacies, he builds them. That's what he's going to do at Colorado, at CU. That's exactly what he's going to do.
100%.
You want to shout out Toyota? Shout out to your Toyota, who specifically got us from Denver to Boulder in the soggy weather we're having out here.
Yeah, weather is trash right now. I hope that it turns a little bit. It looks like it's turning a little bit over the weekend, but it's a great car, man. It's a great car. Like, everything about it to me is the best car I've ever had. It's smooth ride. It it's always like just responsive on the roads when it gets snowy and stuff like this. I've never had a problem with that. It just feels safe when you're in it, and all of the little features that I mentioned before. But you go through the entire car, all of the features are great. I love my Toyota. I am locked in on Toyota forever.
Love it.
So can't say enough about them.
Visit your Front Range Toyota stores. Check out their extremely wide range of options for whatever you want for your next vehicle. Visit them at AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of CU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR. Also, shout out to our wonderful friends over at Circa Resort and Casino, but also Circa Sportsbook. You don't have to go to Vegas to get the Circa experience. If you're in Colorado, you can download the Circa Sportsbook app right now on your phone. Just go to circasports.com. They hand
handcraft.
Handwrite.
I don't think they handwrite.
Handcraft their lines.
Handcraft.
Either way, you're going to get a little bit more juice on some of those plus money lines over at Circa because of that. So check them out. Download it at circasports.com. Circa Sports bets can only be made while physically located in the state of Colorado. Must be 21 or older. All rights reserved. Circa Sports Colorado encourages you to gamble responsibly. If you have a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER or visit problemgamblingcolorado.org.
I just want to say one thing about Boulder because there's a little debate about this in the comments right now. There is absolutely no denying that it has been a very white town for a long time. And I obviously can't speak to the experiences of people of color have had there. I also think it is a very open town and accepting town and progressive town, especially compared to other towns that you would put that label on.
Definitely.
So that's why I'm so hopeful for what can happen here. Because I think there are a lot of places where you would describe, like I just did, saying this place has been historically very white, who aren't open to this type of change happening in their community, and thus will never change. Yeah. I really don't see Boulder in that way. And like I said, I am certainly not in a position to speak on the experiences of people of color have had in Boulder, but that's why I'm hopeful. And maybe that's, someone could tell me I'm being naive, but I really don't think I am.
I mean, the change is noticeable. If you've been there at all before Prime and you're seeing it now, it's very noticeable what's going on there.
And you just see, like, you go to one of our tailgates, and it's what Coach Prime said, honestly, about game day. It's just like everyone's coexisting and having a great time and, with the backbone of the Colorado Buffaloes driving it. But to me, that's just community. That's growing community. And we've said it before on this show. Like, to me, it's the very coolest part about what we've done in the Coach Prime era is seeing the community of people that have come around and joined together and are commingling at our events and talking to us. And we're like, it's all just, I think what we have and we get to see day in, day out is a microcosm of what is happening on the larger scale.
Definitely.
And so I think it's really cool.
That was all just yesterday. Today was another one of just, oh my gosh. This show could go on for 2 hours today, I think. We got Shedeur, Shilo together for the first time on the podium today. And then Coach Prime, he was first up today. Man, he covered a lot. He covered a lot of what we talked about with him yesterday. But he hit on everything. He was asked about the portal. He didn't go quite as in-depth as he did with us.
We have our clips, right?
Yes.
Okay, you're getting to this first.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's a lot going on. We'll get to Alto and Des Moines too down the line. But it was very interesting to hear what he had to say about the portal, in particular about Shedeur and Shilo because of that post that Shilo made a few days ago.
Yes. And we have the clip of that.
Whenever you're ready. Coach.
the background position. Perhaps, as far as recruiting, transfer portal, you have a couple agents out there, Steve and Shilo and Shedeur, kind of recruiting through Instagram.
Hold on. Let's stop right there. I think most prominent players at every program are probably your best recruiters. We have a recruiting department that's superb and they're elite, I really feel. But I wish you could have a conversation with Shedeur and just tell him to just show you his DM one time. You would not believe the kids that call him or call Shilo, because they're high profile young men that calls Travis, that calls Jimmy, that calls some of the guys that's been here, that's the standard, to fill us out, to see where we are. Because a lot of young men we can't talk to, it's not legal. So what do? They communicate through one another. You guys gotta learn that stuff. That's how the communication starts. And that's how it works. So when Shilo was making a joke, which he was, about hit me up, my brother, offense or defense or whatever, it's a joke, but it's actually real. That's how stuff happens. Players recruit players, man. We do a wonderful job as the staff, but they got to be validated by players because they played with those players that you're talking about, either in high school at an all-star game. They know somebody that knows somebody. That's how the recruit thing works, man, for real. It's players. They know who the dogs are and who the cats are. Sometimes we get caught up in the personal aspect of it. We may know the uncle or know the father or trying to, be a refuge for the mother. But no, players know players and how they get down.
He also, talked about what Colorado's been losing in the portal and stressed multiple times, we are fine.
Yeah, I thought to me that was the most important part of Coach Prime's presser. Not that we didn't already know this, but it to me is always comforting to hear it come straight from him about we know what we have coming in and we know that we're getting better. It's always the funny moment when Coach Prime throws out the rhetorical questions. I joked about this with you after our interview yesterday. I'm like, I never know if he actually wants us to answer or not,
right.
Or if he's just going to keep on cooking. But he put out the what are we losing? And I think Matt H. put it out on Twitter, had a good tweet about the actual production that's gone out. Look, that is not to say that we didn't have high hopes for Cormani. We didn't have high hopes for Alto. We liked Slush. I'm probably forgetting. Oh, we had high hopes for Shimon Mateer.
Yeah.
But the truth is, from a pure production standpoint, from the actual players who made a difference on the field last year, we've yet to lose a big piece. Slush would probably be the one who contributed the most to actually winning games.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll get back to this, actually. I don't want to go too much in on Alto and all these guys right now.
Okay. What I was just going to say, though, is I don't know how we haven't figured this out yet.
It's the same cycle, guys.
And maybe I should just take a step back and realize, the haters are just taking their moment because they know this is their time. They actually know the cycle.
Right.
And they know, this is the time where we can get our pot shots in.
Yep.
I feel like I'm seeing better responses from actual CU fans this time around, understanding where we're at. There are some people like, oh, man, I didn't see Alto coming, or what are we doing at tight end? And I think those are fair responses. I haven't seen as many people be like, wait, what's going on? Or sometimes my friends will text me looking for comfort. Hey, is everything still okay? And I haven't had that this time around. So maybe it is just the haters are just saying, oh, we got to get in while we can because of, I have to imagine they know you have to enter the portal and then you start getting recruited.
Yes, man. And this is why, we were asked yesterday, when do you expect commits to come in? It's this is just starting. And unfortunately, because of the way and the nature of the transfer portal, it starts with the bad. So you're always going to see players leaving before anyone even visits. We're talking about, I think, the first 2 transfer portal visits in the last segment today.
Yep.
So it's we just got to, and I know it's been a lot of change with this team, specifically for the fans who have been here for a while, but we got to recognize these patterns and not have to freak out every time. And again, we'll get to Alto, but it's those suck to see. Yes, they suck to see. I love that guy. He was one of my favorite people on the team. And it's a bummer that he's not going to be here, but the golf balls, man, it just year or portal period over portal period. everyone who is not a blue chip starter on this team is on the table to have go into the portal and be upgraded with another guy from the portal.
Yes. Remember the golf balls, the new don't break a sweat on the escalator?
I think so.
Also remember don't break a sweat on the escalator. But yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. I'm trying to remember. Maybe anyone in the comments, maybe Pastor Smith is watching. What did Coach Prime say last year? He's like, in the Bible, Exodus comes before
Genesis.
Genesis.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. There you go.
Yep.
Pastor Jake coming through.
No, don't put that on me. Don't put that
Exodus
on me.
comes before Genesis.
Yep.
It was a banger line then. It's a banger line now. But that's literally how it has to happen. The players have to leave first.
Yes.
Because that's the way the transfer portal works.
Well, and you got to open up scholarships too to bring in more guys.
That's 100%. And you can mess with the scholarships, but the point is, you enter the portal, then you get recruited, then you choose where you're going. There's very few people committing to a new school on the first 2 days of the portal, and that's just because maybe they do have a team in mind. But what happens is you enter the portal. If you don't put that non-contact tag on yourself, you're going to get a million calls.
Yep, definitely. Did we mess up? Does Genesis come before Exodus?
I don't know.
I don't know either. We're exposing ourselves.
So yeah, maybe you aren't Pastor J. You've been removed from Pastor J.
We're exposing ourselves.
Exodus comes before something, is what Coach Prime said. I'm glad I didn't try. Don't blame me. I just believed Jake.
Whoa! Don't throw this on me.
Well, Coach Prime said Exodus comes before something.
Either way, we are fine. Micah. Coach Prime mentioned Micah. We didn't ask him about Micah yesterday, but he talked about, this kid has just really come into work. I have a quote here. I thought I did. But he's just been impressed with the kid's maturity, how he's grown since he's shown up. And it sounds like he is well established in this running back rotation.
Yep. We're getting rightly flamed in the comments. It's okay. Micah has been kind of a revelation, if I can use a term.
Be careful, bro.
Micah has been a huge addition to this team. And we kind of knew that he was, just about the action when he came here. And just for him to be able to come in and put his head down and work and grind and earn the respect of his coaches and teammates is huge. And we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to the running backs that we're going to talk about from what Uncle Neely said today. But he is still a freshman. But you feel good about what you have in the room. I think I'm probably the biggest Dylan Edwards guy.
Really?
I really do think I am.
Over me?
Over you.
Wow.
I'm full believer in Dylan Edwards, 3 down back. But you got to have depth at that position. You got to have guys that can come in. You got to have different styles that can join the running back room. So having Micah in there is great. And he's got a lot of time to continue building on what he's already done.
Let's get to Shedeur and Shilo, because they're obviously, Coach Prime's always in the news, but they've been at the forefront of this really since Tuesday, since that post that Shilo made on Instagram came out. And I feel like we asked some banger questions off the top to them about this whole process, about the transfer portal. So we have that clip too. Alyssa, whenever you are ready.
Ryan, why don't you start us off?
Let's get it going.
Shilo, you talked a little bit about the posts and the interest that's gotten. I'm curious why you think that there was such a negative reaction to that.
I don't know. The day I posted is the first day the portal opened, and me as a player, I gotta know how to think. More games you win, the easier it is, to get looked and to get drafted. And I want the best opportunity to win, which ends up, we get drafted earlier. So I'm gonna do all I can to beef up the team. We got a good team right now. You know, I just want to make it easier for other guys to really just feel like, all right, if I want to go to Colorado, it's not hard. Because my dad said he ain't hard to find. We're not hard to find either. Now, Shedeur is really the pro at that, though. He's been, if y'all look at his Twitter, he's been doing that. So I kind of stole it from him. But I just want to make it easier for guys to come find a new home at Colorado. Really.
It's player-to-player connection. It's a lot of players that's ready to, for sure, walk off teams. So it's a player-to-player thing. So they don't want to get in the portal and not have nowhere to go. So but people are ready though. I have a lot of responses, couple receivers, tight ends, running backs that really want to come, and they're good players. So they just want to make sure they have a home. But it's just better from player to player rather than from a coach to player, because I'm able to tell you honestly I'm able to tell you how we're going to use you in our offense and stuff, and how I view you.
Yeah, we answered the real question.
Yeah, that's a part of it, because a lot of players often have they feel like coaches in general, worldwide and globally, like they fabricate stuff. So I'll tell you straight up, like, look, we're throwing the ball a lot, you know. So this is what we're bringing you here for. You know, this is what we see you in the office. This is how I picture you being out there and really just taking control of the team. That's what it's for.
I'm trying to hear Coach Prime's quote. You go.
There you go. Literally from the horse's mouth right there about what this new age of college football is like. You know, what Shilo and Shedeur's actual recruiting strategy is, how they approach recruiting, how they talk to these players, and what they tell them. Again, the entire outrage over this thing is just so ridiculous. And it doesn't make any sense, because this is just what kids do. They're on Instagram. They talk to each other, especially in this portal era. And Coach Prime had the point to us. He said it again today too. You know, we can't talk to the players in the portal, especially if they have a do not contact.
Yep.
So they talk to each other.
Yep. Okay. So the actual quote from Coach Prime, just I don't want to, you know, we know he didn't get it wrong. We just got it wrong. He said this was right after he got here, and it was during the first exodus of players. And he said, this is the genesis of Colorado football, and what comes after Genesis? Exodus. So we messed it up a little bit. But the point was that that this is all a part of a greater thing that's happening.
Yes.
And the Exodus is going to open up the door for whatever the next chapter is.
For sure. Another topic that came up for Shedeur and Shilo is cover one.
Yeah.
Because we talked about, or Coach Mathis really is the one who shared this news and got this conversation going about the scheme of this defense, how it differs from last year. And obviously it all starts with Coach Livingston, but Shilo really went in depth with what the mentality is of this defense and why they're going to be calling this defense that way.
Yeah, this is that is a big time talent defense. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you call cover one, you're saying we like our guys more than your guys.
Yep.
And man, if I'm not mistaken, isn't that what Cincinnati went to in the second half of the AFC Championship against Pat Mahomes?
Yep.
Because the idea was back then, and maybe now, you cannot cover one Pat Mahomes, especially with Kelsey, especially with Tyreek Hill back then, and Mecole Hardman and all those guys they had. It was cover one against this team is a death sentence. And if I remember correctly, I think they said, screw it, this is what we do, we're going to call it. Mm-hmm. And it obviously they turned the game around and came back and beat the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. But to me, it's a big-time talent defense, and Shedeur talked about it when he said, he's like, man, between Travis and Preston and DJ McKinney and Shilo and Cam, like they can really, mix it up and cover one, and they're gonna have a lot of chances to make plays. And I loved Shilo talking about just using his instincts, because that's one of the many gifts that comes with being the son of Coach Prime, is the football instincts, the football IQ, the football that's in your blood. And I just love the idea of him being able to kind of use his experience. I mean, experienced players in college football is a cheat code.
Yep.
Because Shilo Sanders is a pro playing in college. Same thing with Shedeur. Same thing with Travis. These guys are pros who are playing their last year in college, and they just know so much. They've seen so much. They know what they're looking for on film and how they can apply that on Saturday. So I love the idea of Shilo being able to play freely.
So where he said he wanted to improve the most was his instincts, just being a faster processor and getting to the ball quicker, just knowing what's going to happen before it happens. Shilo talked a lot about Coach Livingston. He mentioned Jesse Bates, how he's been watching a lot of him. And Coach Livingston has been, sounds like, really using him as an example for Shilo and the player he can become. And man, why not? That's the best player Coach Livingston has coached thus far in his career. He watched his development basically from when they brought him in, was a scout back then too. Or I guess not that far back, but he's got the scouting chops, so he knows what to identify in a player to turn them into what Jesse Bates became. And then they both were asked about LaJohntay Wester, and both offered some great information there. We already kind of asked Shedeur about this at the Super Bowl, but he went back in and just talked about, this is just a dog, a guy who is going to do the right things. He's got the right mentality, and he just plays his ass off, man.
Yeah. It's I'm really excited for this defense. I think that the talent level is a lot higher this year. And the guy, even though neither of us think it's going to be a permanent thing, the thought of Travis getting inside and just being closer to the football when it's snapped.
Yep.
And you could even use him in a robber role, where we saw last year Travis will play robber when he's in man coverage.
Yep.
And for those of you who don't know, essentially robber just means watch the quarterback and react to what he's doing, and you have the freedom, like Shilo's talking about, to just play with your instincts and float. You're not tied to one area of the field as much. Whereas Travis will he's man-to-man on someone, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to go rob this route because I know where the quarterback's going with it.
Exactly.
But you could let him roam a little bit by moving him down closer to the ball, and that excites me as well.
Yep. Coach Prime was also asked about LaJohntay Wester. You asked him about LaJohntay Wester. So LaJohntay's a pro. He's a Florida boy. He comes with that dog. He's making Jimmy go get it. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, and I brought that up because we were talking about players recruiting players, and it's Shedeur.
That's the prime example.
Shedeur then jumped in and said, I saw him on film and said, this is what we need. And so I went and got him.
Coach Prime was also asked about the rebuilt offensive line today. He asked who stood out on the offensive line. He said all of them. These guys are a tremendous group and a tremendous family. Tyler Brown is killing it. He's consistent. You talk about physicality and being able to run the ball. We should be able to do that. Phil Loadholt is really good, really good. They try to embody that and emulate that. These are different kids, man. They really have a why, and they're out there fulfilling that, and they're holding each other accountable. We've seen that since they committed, since Justin, Khalil, Jordan, whoever I'm missing, Tyler Johnson, Yukiri, all these guys committed.
But I love that Coach Prime said, I'm not going to name any names that's standing out above anyone else, and then name Tyler Brown.
Tyler Brown, yeah.
Shout out to Tyler, man. We saw Tyler at the facility today.
Yeah.
I gave him a hug. I love that guy.
Yep.
I really hope that he gets the opportunity to go out there and be a difference maker for this team this year.
He will. I'm very confident in that. Coach Prime was also asked about Dylan Edwards' role this next season. This has been a big topic this spring. He said, Dylan is a tremendous asset. We're going to try to get the ball to Dylan in all forms, just splitting him out at times and seeing him run or seeing him line up in front of a linebacker out wide is a scary thought. He's developing running the ball inside as well. His mental and physical toughness is above par. And then I didn't catch this quote, but man, when he talked about, do you know how good Dylan has to be as a receiver and how good we are at receiver for us to take one of those guys off the field and leave Dylan in and split him out?
Yeah. And I think that Dylan getting work at receiver is more about Dylan receiving the ball out of the backfield.
Yes.
Obviously, you can also motion him. You can do all sorts of different things, but Coach Prime is right. They've already got enough talent at wide receiver. They don't need Dylan to convert to wide receiver. But you would love to be confident in him on angle routes, just going out into the flat, and then my favorite, the wheel route, which I think, just helping him to become a more natural receiver of the football helps you in all those roles. If you're working with wide receivers and you run a slant, it's not much different than coming across and running a Texas route.
Yep. Last thing from today, Coach Prime was asked what he's seen from Coach Sapp so far. He said, Coach Sapp is a phenomenal communicator. God, he knows his craft. That's why he's got a gold jacket. He knows this game, and he's able to communicate that in his passionate way. He's a phenomenal person. I'm just really glad and thankful for our young men that they are getting that communication on a daily basis.
Awesome.
Go check out our takeaways video also. And when we get to Coach Sapp in that video and we talk to Neely about him, look at the B-roll in that and how you can see the passion that Coach Sapp teaches with. He is getting after it. What a day. That's all today. We got some more stuff in the next segment here. First, shout out to our wonderful friends over at Raising Cane's. They're helping us bring all our draft coverage on the Broncos side. So if you see all those cool graphics coming out from the Broncos account, it's all thanks to our friends over at Raising Cane's. I mean, elite fast food stop, Raising Cane's.
Oh, yeah. I actually went to Raising Cane's on Sunday, right before my Sunday Masters hangout with our guy Spence. Mm-hmm. And my God, man, it's so good.
It's delicious.
It's so good.
That sauce is up there with some of the best condiments, dipping sauces, whatever you want to call it, of all time.
Yes, sir.
For cooked-to-order, hand-battered chicken fingers, race into Raising Cane's, turbocharge your chicken fingers, and get them even faster by ordering online at raisingcanes.com or through their mobile app. Raising Cane's chicken fingers, one love.
The Raising Cane's over on Colorado has like a little patio that you can sit out on.
No way.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Go patio season at Raising Cane's.
Hell yeah.
Also, shout out to Circus Sportsbook.
True Fan Travel.
True Fan Travel. So are you saying that True Fan Travel comes after Circa?
In what way?
In the way that Exodus comes after Genesis?
Oh my God. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
All right. Shout out True Fan Travel. I don't know what else I could say other than this is one of the coolest things you can do as a fan.
Yeah.
I think that obviously going to a home game is fantastic. But going to a road game with a community of people that are all there together is like an unforgettable experience. Mm-hmm. We talk about TCU all the time on this show.
Yeah.
It was a movie. And part of that is like going into the hotel, we're all checking in together. Mm-hmm. We're meeting up at barbecue after we land. We're seeing all the people that we went there in the hotel bar at night. There's just something different about it. It's like a field trip for adults. It's super great, and we will be doing at least 2 this year, Nebraska and UCF, so keep an eye out for those. So you can, as soon as we drop them, you can put a deposit in and reserve your spot. But it's a great time.
Yeah, make sure stay tuned to our socials. You'll know exactly when those trips go live. All right, we've already referenced it multiple times, but we did have a few entries that we have to talk about. And the most notable one, probably the most, other than Jaden Milliner-Jones, maybe the most shocking entry so far this period, and that's Alton McCaskill. And again, I love that kid, man. I think that there's greatness in that kid. I think he could be a real contributor at running back. And I hope that whether it's his confidence in his knee or maybe it's just a disconnect between him and the coaching staff, or maybe he just got flat out beat by Micah and Dylan. Whatever it is, I hope he goes on to have a successful career somewhere else. I'm just rooting for that guy. I love
me
that
too.
guy.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously had him in the studio here. He was great. His mom was great. It was so fun to talk to them. Pulling for him. Those knee injuries are pesky. I hope that he can get back to the guy who was a freshman All-American. My guess, we're allowed to do that here, is he felt as though he wasn't trending to be the number one running back.
That's why I put that tweet out last night. You could tell the momentum from Micah was just, it's almost too much to ignore.
Yeah, and that's not even that's forgetting that Neely said Dylan's number one right now.
Right.
And Coach Prime today said Charlie is number two.
Yeah.
So Micah obviously making noise. Alto, I don't know. It just didn't feel like he ever got his feet totally under him here. And so we'll root for him. But this is a guy who wants to go play, wants to go to the NFL.
Yep. We wish him well. Demoy Kennedy has also entered the portal. I think this one a lot of people saw coming. I mean, he wasn't on the spring roster, so that was as big a hint as you could get right there. But another guy who dealt with a knee injury, who you look at the potential. We saw the speed numbers all last offseason, and you think about all the what ifs with that speed and what that could do for a defense. And unfortunately, we just never got to see it unfold on the field for whatever reason. But another guy who was recruited very highly when he was a recruit coming out of high school. We'll see what his portal prospects are, but wish the kid well.
What segment are we in right now?
Segment 3.
Yikes.
Why?
Because I have a meeting, but it's all right.
We're wrapping up. How quick do we need to go?
It's okay. I mean, I don't know. We don't have to, cut this short because it's a big show. But I was just like, wait. How are we only in segment 3? We've already gone long.
Yeah. Let's hit practice today. Again, we have a takeaways video up on our channel. Neely's got it up on the pregame show also. If you want to go check it out there. But really all you need to know, with Shimon Taylor leaving, it sounds like Savell Smalls and Morgan Pearson have really made an impact at tight end. And this is before Shimon's even left.
Yep. Louis Passarello obviously still in the mix too. But those two guys, I mean, Coach Prime said it today, they've got the athlete part on lock.
Yep.
And we know that just from watching their high school tape and obviously Savell Small's college tape. But that's an interesting position. There might even be another player going in there from another position. I don't want to have a whole room full of position converts. But if they're balling out and they make a difference, Neely said 2 touchdowns from tight ends today. Well, then heck, then you made the right call, right? And you pulled off the position switch. But it would be really nice, Coach Prime said it. Shedeur said it today. Every tight end, wide receiver, running back, offensive lineman in the country are in Shedeur's DMs. It'd be really nice to get a big-time tight end in there.
I mean, look, we can talk about, changing positions and that conversion, but let's also remember Morgan Pearson coming out of high school a little over a year and a half ago was an athlete because he played both ways, because he played linebacker, because he played tight end. Savell Smalls was an edge as when he was a recruit coming out of high school. But check the high school film, man. I mean, if you're an athlete, you're an athlete. These aren't the same position converts that we saw last year with Mikey. It's completely different. These guys have experience at the position. They have the size for the position. You're not, forcing a square peg into a round hole here, I think, with these guys. And then we already mentioned the other takeaway from practice today. Charlie Offerdahl has been promoted to the number 2 running back.
It's Charlie Offenball to you?
Offenball, of course. My bad.
Yeah. I mean, this is... Him and Coach Prime are, to me, like a match made in heaven. He's just exactly the type of walk-on that Coach Prime wants in his program because he just works so hard every day. He, we don't know this for sure, but I don't think he ever cried about playing time last year.
Yep.
He's not in the transfer portal. This is a guy who just wants to grind, wants to work. And he's going to get opportunity in the spring game to truly show out.
And it was such a bummer last year that he had that concussion going into the spring game and couldn't play, because I think you would have seen what we see on Well Off all the time and what we saw in 2022 when the team was awful. Why he was one of the lone bright spots on that team is because the dude just puts in work and runs hard as hell.
Yeah. And so let me just say it right now, I'm picking him as my offensive player of the game for the spring game.
Fair enough.
Because he's going to get his ops and he's going to play and he's going to ball. But it's really cool for him. Hopefully if there's a scholarship available, we get the Charlie Offerdahl scholarship moment.
Man, what a moment that'll be.
And if anyone on the team is listening, we're happy to break the news to him here.
Yes. And then just some portal stuff here to get into. We've got 2 linebackers coming to visit. We talked about Nikai Hill-Green, the former Charlotte linebacker. I think this is just off memory, but I think it was 3rd team All AAC and one of the team captains. And then we've got Elijah Herring coming in, former Tennessee linebacker. Was their leading tackler last year, started in 11 out of 12 games, played in all 12.
I'm herring we have a good chance.
Okay. Next.
Elijah,
piece.
that's a biblical name.
You got to stop. Penny Boone. Haas Fawcett put out this tweet. Former Louisville running back Penny Boone has heard from 21 schools since entering the transfer portal. CU is in there. Of course, this is a big deal now with Alto entering the portal. What's the Ohio State kid's name again? I don't want to get it wrong.
Dallin Hayden.
Dallin Hayden is also in the mix, I'm sure. Damian Martinez going to visit Arizona. Wasn't listed. Colorado wasn't listed in any of his visit graphics or interest graphics either.
Yep.
So I think the dream might be dead.
There's some interesting buzz at Arizona between them and Jed Fish.
Mm-hmm.
Things could get spicy over there.
They could get very spicy. Real quick on Penny Boone, though. This guy played at Maryland in 2020 and 2021. Played at Toledo in 22 and 23. He entered the portal after the 23 season, committed to Louisville, but re-entered the portal this spring period. So he's looking for his 4th team, technically, 3rd team to play games on, but this is his graduate season. He was a senior last year at Toledo and had an absurd season. 1,400 yards on 194 carries. That's 7.2 yards per carry. 15 touchdowns. Also had 15 receptions for 219 yards and a touchdown.
Hell yeah.
That's it.
That's all we got? All right, let's talk to the people.
To the Toyota chat we go.
Before I gotta run and get yelled at.
Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast. We'd greatly appreciate your 5-star reviews. Thank you to the people who have recently put up 5-star reviews. You guys are real ones.
Hell yeah.
Joe, how do you build depth if players won't stay unless they are guaranteed to be the starter?
Ooh, just got the "we are waiting for you" text.
Yikes.
It's tough. That's tough.
I can handle questions if you want me to.
let me get a few in.
Okay. How do you build depth if players won't stay unless they're guaranteed to be starter? I don't know if that's actually how it is. I mean, there's a lot of guys on this team, Charlie included, who have stayed through a lot, through multiple portal periods with this team.
It's the single greatest challenge of running a college program right now.
It is.
And to be honest, I don't know how you do it without lying.
I mean, people are just going to want to come play here, give this place a chance.
I agree with that. And that's why the guys who know where they stand on the depth chart are probably going to leave. And someone new is going to come in with the belief that they can take over a starting spot. And that's not lying. But that is another way to do this, is replace depth that leaves because they know their depth with people that have new hope that they can come in and start. And maybe some of them can. Then the existing starter you had then becomes depth. But it is you're juggling. And keeping depth is such a difficult thing. And I know there's programs all over the country telling guys, you're still in the mix to be the starter, even though they know they aren't, just to keep them around.
The promise that you can make in this day and age is competition, though. And you can make that promise to even the people who are starting on your roster that, look, you're going to have to still compete. You're probably going to be a starter, but we're going to keep on trying to improve this roster. This is just how college football works. We're going to have to go into the portal and bring in more players, and they're going to be told the same thing. You can have a chance to come here and compete.
Yep.
You can come win a job.
Yep. Luis says, is there a full video of the Restore interview with Coach Prime somewhere? I know RG.
So, I mean, I posted the clips, but honestly, I feel like that's really all that is there because the other clips were about hair transplants.
Well, maybe these people want to hear about hair transplants, Jake.
I could post it if you guys want, or we can upload it, but it's questions that were answered in our one-on-one, and then questions about hair transplants, and then those 2 questions I asked, which is why I posted those 2 questions.
Yeah. Well, people just want to see me interacting with Coach Prime on stage, all right?
Is that what it is?
Yes. RG will have some footage from it. I assume
Yes.
Restore, who had like a great camera crew and everything in the audio,
Yeah.
will post it somewhere.
Hopefully.
All right, I got one more in me.
Well, this one's for you.
Great. Where can we get the Apply Pressure hoodie? I actually don't know if there is a way to get it without going to my barber's barber chair. Let me see if he has a link on here. No, he doesn't. So yeah, this is my barber kind of started this brand, I guess. And I bought one of these from him last year, so I need to restock. By the way, speaking of getting people's merch, do you see Travis Hunter's merch drop?
No, I didn't.
Oh, instant cop for me.
Really?
It's got him like kicked back wearing the 12 and it just says him. I was like, yep. That's in the cart immediately.
Instagram?
Yeah, he posted on his Instagram story that there was a new drop. There's one that says hunt or be hunted, which is fire.
Yeah.
So
I missed it. He doesn't have a story up right now.
Okay, well, I think it's like TravisHunter12.com or something.
I saw he put a poll on Instagram wondering if he should do a pop-up shop after the spring game.
That was
too.
right after the other story.
So I just missed it then. Gus, did either of you catch the new tight end commit from Coach Prime, or was I hearing things that we don't have a new tight end commit yet?
Jake, I gotta go.
Then go, man. You're good. Thank you, bro.
Thanks, guys. Love you. Sorry for my biblical ignorance. Everyone that watches this show knows I need God.
Looking now, I do not see a tight end commitment, so I think we're good there. We did get a basketball commitment, though. I know this is a very football-heavy show right now, but Trevor Baskin committed. We'll get to him some point next week, I'm sure. What else do we got? Rose, what do you guys think CU needs to do to close the deal once Elijah Herring touches down in Boulder? Man, I don't know. It's I think On3 had quotes from him. I can try and pull them real quick. But from what it sounded like, Elijah Herring is very interested in Colorado. And I think he just needs to come here, check it out, realize what it's about exactly, meet some people, shake some hands, you know. And we could be getting commitment sooner rather than later. Pulling it up right now, he said, just seeing Colorado, Denver, I like that state. Something feels like I can be there. Some beautiful scenes. Just getting to meet Coach Prime, that staff, see what they have going on over there and take a peek of how that is. If it fits good with my heart and something I can feel positive about, it could be something I could jump into. The tight end coming from Ohio State, Sam Hart. Yeah, that was a month ago. Should be here this summer. Jamel, go ahead. Are you aware Shedeur has another year of eligibility due to COVID? Yeah, but let's be honest, it's pretty doubtful he's going to come back. Probably going to be the number 1 overall pick. Belinda, anything for CSU game even after the game? I'm sure. It'll depend for that one, just time of the game. If it's like last year where it's super late, obviously probably not. But if it's an earlier game in the day, then definitely. So we will have a tailgate, no doubt, for that one. Come hang out. And then let's see if we get fortunate with the game time. On to Super Chats. Don Peasy. This is a bummer. RK's not here for this. I know talent when I see it. The interview yesterday was GOAT level. RK, Jake, and Unk could literally have their likeness carved in the flat irons next to Prime. For real, keep up the good work, fellas, and FDP. Thank you, Don Peasy. Thank you, everyone, for the love, man. It was pretty surreal yesterday. we had a little moment like right after we recorded that interview before we put it up, really, and just kind of thought about and talked about what just happened and what's about to happen because of that interview. And it's been really special, but it's all because of you guys, the support that you've shown and what you've built this show up to be, really. So thank you. Mr. Hillsman, again, shout out to all the DNVR folks behind the scenes. Yeah, there's a ton of them. They put in a lot of work from the behind the scenes folks yesterday too. Shout out to Nick and Ryan, our social guys, to Alyssa, of course, to RG for coming out to help, and just all the support from DNVR and ALLCITY. It's pretty special. Rev with the super chat. Invite Charlie on the show. Definitely. Speaking of that, we're going to have a guest tomorrow, it sounds like. So you can look forward to that one. But we have an interview with Charlie from last year's Media Day. If you search that up, I'm sure if you just put DNVR Buffs Charlie Offerdahl, it'll pop up. But we spoke to him at Media Day. But yeah, we'll do our best to get him in studio this summer as well. Don Peasy with the super chat. That Fong has been whipping the haters at On 3 in shape. I love it, man. There's a clip where it's he and Josh Newberg, and they're talking about Juju, and Josh, touches on the team's interested in Juju and his commitment or in his recruitment, and Fong steps in and goes, "Don't rule out Colorado." So Steve Wiltfong's always been good with me for many reasons, and it seems like he actually gives Colorado the respect they deserve. So it's good to have a figure like that who does that. I did have a button up on. Thank you. That's the exact message I got from my mom yesterday, basically. Was that it?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, man, what a legendary 24-ish hours it's been for us in this show, for this company, really. It's been pretty cool. Can't thank you guys enough for the support. We're just getting started, too, man. This is going to be an amazing year. A great year to be a part of, the DNVR Buffs community. So I'm very excited for what's about to come. And I hope we have many, many more special moments ahead. Again, we'll have a guest tomorrow. I think Neely might be here also. And then just looking forward to next week. We will have a show Monday. With it being a spring game week, you can count on a pregame show, postgame show on Saturday. So we might have a day off in the middle of the week, just with how things work out. We'll have Unkir on Tuesday as well. But just plenty more stuff coming your way, guys. Thank you so much for the support. And we'll be back tomorrow. Love y'all. Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.